Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Ed Fields here, along with along with Roget
That
Smith.
was quick.
What?
I didn't know we came on air.
Oh, okay.
I almost
That's a
said
good thing you
something.
didn't curse.
Oh, I don't do that.
Here with Rogan Smith, and of course Kendrick is back because Kendrick, he's on his own schedule, and we just you never know when he's here.
Hey, just come up, we pull up, we see.
See, you
Osprey.
and I, when we're leaving, we'll say in weeks in advance. I'll be gone on the 13th to the 14th or
Yeah.
something like that, and you'll say okay, and I'll be gone. We just reach, and he's not there.
He'll say when he's going on vacation.
Well, I found out that morning that I wasn't going to be here.
We're on WhatsApp.
Can they hear?
What'd he say?
He said, "You got a point."
Okay. Because when I walk in, I just don't even notice Osprey till he starts talking. Did you know that?
I don't know.
No. Seriously, I walk in because I have the routine. I come and I put the thing. I do this, and then I sit down and go,
But brother, it's a whole different person. You ain't
no.
noticed.
But you know how I know? Usually, how I know it's Osprey?
What?
Because he's standing up.
That's true. Doing this WK.
Because usually I walk in, I'm just kind of just getting it together mentally and walking, and then I sit down and I go, oh,
and he
that's where I go.
bouncing.
And he's got his thing, and
bouncing.
he's got "Tell Me Man" or whatever,
No, he does that for true.
So
Oh, you're
anyway,
so cool. How's
what's
it going?
happening? Yeah, everything's good. Just
What's up going?
so it's a lot of things, going on really.
Oh, excuse me.
I again, no commentary, just putting it out there for the people to decide. By the way, our guests this evening are Nicolette, Bethel, and both doctors, Ian Strachan, who are going to talk about this ballot spoiling thing. As I said to you, and I'll just leave it at this, is that I need to hear the rationale. I cannot think of one, but we're open, so let's hear. We're open. But like I said on my thing, I'm certainly in the opposition on that.
Oh,
You
as
see,
am I.
So now you see the thing about these things, right? We may learn something
Yeah.
that may be enlightening. So you go with it.
Even if we're in opposition, we always open up the chair to people to come and explain.
never
Because
know.
like you say, you might learn
You
something.
never
I
know.
don't see myself agreeing, but
Yeah.
you never know.
I don't see myself at all. There's no mirrors in here, nothing.
I can see, right
So,
behind you.
Yeah. Okay. Well, it's behind me. Therefore, I can't see myself. Charmed.
So,
How
how about I thought I still had a chance to get in on this Powerball, but it already got picked yesterday. This 435 million.
Yeah, it's not happening.
But I never sent in numbers. I thought it was going to be like Friday.
I think, again, I always
Ooh, I
like to
could do with
imagine
that
the
money.
things I do with that kind of money. If you have that kind of money,
Jesus.
I think I'll be sitting here and I think I'll be twirling my penis.
Oh my God! What?
Yeah, just twirling it.
What you toiling it for?
Just because
you
I can.
Would you quit your
If
job?
someone try to fire me for twirling, I'll go, okay.
Listen to me. You quitting the job? Because that's always the question.
Yeah, I would. I'm not gonna
Yeah.
lie.
Kendrick,
I'm
you?
not, yeah, come on.
Kendrick usually gives the thumbs up.
Yeah. No, but there's no need. And see, the thing is this, right? It's too much pressure. I don't need to be somewhere where people have access to me like that. So for the day when I get the ticket, I'll have the ticket. I'll say, listen, I gotta go and I have to go to the bathroom. And when I come back, I'm nude.
What, you just walking around your business?
Just come.
Just
When I
naked?
come back, I sit here.
'Cause what
I
they
might have to
could
put some
say-
paper down because I don't know who's been sitting there. Sit down and just
Just twirl.
twirl it. What's happening?
Because who can tell you anything, right?
Slap it against the thing.
What's your fascination with, like, of all the things you could do once you win
No,
435 mil?
what it is, it's an example of the not caring. Do you understand me? It's an extreme example of you can't do me nothing.
On another level.
You see what I'm saying? You can't do me anything.
Boy.
Okay?
I hate those states where you have to come out and say, because
I'll come out.
I don't
mind.
want to come out. I
yeah.
wish I could do it anonymously.
Oh, no. I want
It depends
everyone
on
to know.
what state you're in, though.
I want everyone to know, and I want everyone to know you're not going to find me
No,
anymore.
I don't want. Are you leaving the country?
I'm leaving the planet. Okay? And I was talking to these are repeat statements, so I've said it before. Yeah, I'm going to have a yacht. There's no doubt about it, right?
Definitely.
But the problem is people like you and
Me?
Kendrick, who will not have won, because I'm not giving you any, because you're not a one. Okay, you're going to want to come on my yacht. This
We're
is a
not
problem.
invited?
Yes, you are. But what I'm going to do, because I don't want to feel pressure, is once a year, all of y'all can come on the yacht. I'm not going to be there.
No.
Kendrick.
No.
Y'all can have a good old time.
No.
Mr. Fields said you can have a good time.
I can't say,
hey?
listen, I want to have a party on the yacht, birthday party for myself. You're going to let me use the yacht? $435 million, even if you don't park.
You know what I
and
think
all
I'm going to
that.
have to get? I think I'm going to get 2 yachts. Okay? Just for one for y'all. Yeah, y'all.
Yeah?
Okay. Because, see, the pressure there, let me explain the pressure. And I don't think any of us are aware of it yet, but I've researched this.
Pressure.
Is I'm going to be hanging out with other people with yachts.
Oh, you're going to be hanging out with us?
No. Because it's pressure on you. You see? I'm a considerate person. Look at
They
you.
hit you up for some cash. You be like, I
See,
know you got
hit
it.
you
I
up.
know you got it. Are we not
Because I
friends?
imagine if Bobby and Whitney, right? They could say something to me like,
Yeah,
well, can I
people-
borrow some money? I can't say to them,
You ain't
well,
got
I
it.
ain't got none. You know? But it's listen, these are fantasies. And it, it's sad, actually, to have these type of fantasies because it shows how much the dollar means to us, right? But I think I would have a very low kind of attitude. I mean, I would vanish. But I wouldn't be a spendthrift.
You don't think so?
No, I wouldn't be foolhardy with the money. I'll get
I'll
a
the things I
I'll get a
wanted.
yacht. I'll get a yacht.
I'll
I
get the
think a
things
yacht
that
is
I
good.
wanted.
I think I might only get a yacht.
I don't think I need a yacht. I'll
That's
just,
like
I'll just
where-
rent it. I'll just rent it, and then that's it. Because the maintenance is expensive.
I have 400 and something million.
That's
I have
before
20 years
taxes.
to go. Don't worry about that.
After my taxes and tithes or whatever.
But I'm
like
not going
that,
to
I
get
ain't got
any
much
I'm
money.
not going to get $100 million yacht. I'm going to
just
get
get one
like a 20.
I still don't want the maintenance. I don't know. I already have.
I'm not
going to
get a plane.
I just
Actually,
no
I think
plane.
maybe I will get a plane.
I just you'll spray you get this money. But Jesus, I wish that was me. That's one guy won.
Because you have to have a plane to get to the yacht.
Catch Bahamas there.
Because see, the reason why you have
Don't
to have a
just fly
plane,
here, he
right,
lives here.
is when you go to the airport, people will see you, and then they want to talk to you.
But that's good for you because you want to be seen. You want people to know you won the money. If
Just
you be
so
like
I can
me,
have an
just be
announcement.
anonymous,
Please
nobody will
don't
know.
call me.
Yeah, the people. But if they don't know, they won't call you.
That's true. But
Yeah.
they'll somehow they'll know. They'll find out. you know.
So the odds of winning the Powerball jackpot are 1 in 292.2 million. Can you believe that?
Yeah, and someone's going to win it. That's the point.
Jeez.
So it could be you.
So listen,
My problem is I have to buy one first for it to be me.
I had already told my
Yeah.
relative to buy one, and it was too late. But listen, say if you want to remain anonymous, you have to be in these 6 states: Delaware, Kansas, Maryland, North Dakota, Ohio, and South Carolina. So
yeah,
I'm covered.
I'm in none of those.
So make sure I go one of them.
Well, it's a fantasy. We're finished with that fantasy now. I saw in the paper, it's just, again, I'm just putting it out there as a headline. I saw with interest that the leader of the opposition said that folks need to put their egos aside
Boy.
in order to win. Well, let's do this. Let's do this, to be fair. Everyone who is in the House of Assembly, everyone who's on the radio,
Has a bit of an ego.
everyone has an ego. It's always, like I say, it's where you have that dial.
Yeah.
See, there's an ego dial.
Where
like
are you on the spectrum?
In your car, you have your dial for your AC, you have your dial for the radio, you have your dial for the fan, and then you have an ego dial. Okay, so it's where you have that turned up to.
Yeah.
Are you on low or high?
Yeah.
Okay, and that's
Some
what
are
it is.
higher than others.
But I just think it's kind of like weird because all of us have the car dial to say, well, you need to check the dial because we all have a dial. So the question is, with people who say that, where's their dial?
Yeah, where's the dial? But I was one of those people when I picked up the
Was
paper
that cryptic
and I read
enough?
that.
Was that cryptic enough?
Huh? Not at all.
Okay.
When I picked up the paper and I read this and I have a great deal of respect for our leaders, I do. But when I see this, that Mrs. Butler Turner said she'd be open to working with Dr. Minnis after all that they've gone through in the past few months, I'm like, what?
Can I give an analogy?
What?
Can I give an analogy?
You're willing to work with them now?
Can I give an analogy?
What?
May I give an analogy?
Yes, sir.
Suppose you're on a locomotive, right? And every time let's say there's 10 cars on the locomotive,
And you
on the
jump
train.
in.
And let's just say every time you go from one cart, you decide, I don't like this cart. So you go to the next cart. And every time you go past one cart, you tell the people in that cart, Y'all smell stink. I don't like y'all.
I like
Okay?
this analogy.
And you just keep moving for every time. I don't like y'all on this cart. So by the time you get to the 10th and to the caboose, to the 10th and final cart, you don't tell all the people
But they said
y'all stink, and I don't like how y'all smell, and y'all ain't this. And then when you look out, when you pull the door open in the last cart, it's no other carts.
You say, no, you know.
So now you have to turn around and say, you know, we all have to put our egos behind us because we don't all smell or something like that. May come to your cart, please. Okay, so the people, is that a good analogy?
It's fantastic.
So the people in your cart say, you must smell your upper lip. Get your own cart.
Top lip. I just don't understand. Listen,
You got to get one of them things when you see on the movies where they pump it like that.
I
You
know.
know those things are trained?
Yeah,
What you see like in Dudley Do-Right and that kind of thing?
Let me tell you something. I've never been so short on words or I'm lost for words until I read that.
Well, you were very short.
I'm at a loss for words. I just can't understand how someone can make such a pronouncement at this time.
I think you should just get rid of your egos. You know?
And everybody got egos. Is that cryptic?
Egos. Anyway, listen, it's cryptic. I just, bump it up. Bump up the
It's
jam.
a little too late.
Yeah.
It's too late to say
Hey,
sorry.
all the seat taken. And that's another metaphor. Later. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. A couple of things. Welcome back, Rogan Smith and Kendrick, who's here today. We don't know what's going to happen next week. So there's two things I want to cover. One is I see where Dr. Knowledge, there's something about registration office has been removed. Mm-hmm. This thing about registering to vote, and it kind of fits into what we're doing. Mm-hmm. Listen, just have a rule. The rule is you must have your passport or your something. Yeah. And that's the rule. All this stuff about what you're wearing and what you're not wearing,
This
move
staff
on.
demanding unnecessary paperwork. I don't know what unnecessary.
What is like car papers? What do you have to land? What's that?
Well, I see Leslie Miller saying that this guy was asked for his passport, his NIB card, as well as his driver's license. Why is all that needed? Why is all that needed if that's the case?
Anyway, and then
It's a bit excessive.
And the thing I don't know about, I still don't know what's been resolved about the clothing. It's just stupid.
I guess they're allowing them to come in.
I just don't know what you're taking. What you're, I don't have. I'm going to get my voter's card tomorrow, and I'm on Monday and bring it here. I don't know what you're showing. I don't see voters cards, like the pictures. I don't see them displayed in Playboy magazine. Like it's your head.
You don't think what they wear matters?
Do you see? But I'm saying how they cut it, right?
No, I mean but that's for the photo. But I'm talking about when you're showing up in person. Would you go to the U.S. Embassy for your, or would you? I don't know. If
the U.S. Embassy only cares about the picture. You bring the
care
picture.
About the picture. You bring the picture. But
yeah, they don't care how you go there.
But let me just say this: if they required you to come in and they said we're going to process your documents and we have to take a picture here, do you think Baymans would show up dressed the way that they're showing up for their?
I don't think
for voters' cards.
Let's put it this way: I don't think that the way that a lot of people who they're turning away is an offensive scenario. They're turning people with sleeveless dress. People who are dressed.
I remember saying cleavage was showing. Well,
I don't see the problem with cleavage showing. Cleavage shows everywhere. I mean, I don't think you want to come in a thong and pasties. You know what I mean?
But
if you got a little cleave, let's go with it. Let's go cleave.
I don't know. Some people are very inappropriate. I'm not saying that that's a reason.
I think they went overboard. That's all I'm going to say. With people who come in with a sleeveless, you got a full thing and you got sleeveless. Oh, come on.
If it's just
arms,
sleeveless.
is my man getting turned on with some arms?
Maybe.
Okay. Now, speaking of which, and I know you would love this, I thought to speak to you about this. You remember when we were talking about your man, the Trumpster?
I thought you said you were done talking about him.
No. Got to watch this one. You're going to like this one. I did, but this is this.
I know this isn't going to
last. No, but this isn't. I said I don't want to deal with him, but listen to this one. This is what you would like. So apparently the senators and the congressman, and this is only indirectly related. This isn't even really related to him. This is more related to Congress. Apparently the congressmen and senators are going back to their constituencies for town hall meetings, and they're getting railed out. And you know why they're getting railed out?
Ain't even showing up.
You know why they're getting railed out?
Because of their boy.
No.
Because of their boy.
No. Because of them.
Obamacare.
With Vernell saying,
Yeah,
Vernell,
Obamacare.
remember I told you about Vernell?
Yeah.
Monel said, Daddy,
I know. I watched
Daddy
the
got
whole
Alzheimer's.
They
I
love it
got
now.
Alzheimer's. I don't even know here. Now, do you have some insurance
To replace this?
to
with?
replace this?
No, sir, we do not. They can run you out of town.
What kind of insurance you get?
Nothing.
No,
They
he
should
be
have-
saying, what kind of insurance you, Mr. Senator, got? You got your insurance,
I got
and you want to take
Blue
mine.
Cross.
Did we not say this?
You said this from the jump, I must say. But they should have had something to, if they were going to repeal it, have something to replace it with immediately.
No,
You
this
know,
is what you call hating the black.
Here's the funny
You
part.
understand what I'm saying to you?
People hated this Obamacare, protested against Obamacare. And now all of a sudden, now Obamacare is the greatest thing
No, the
since sliced
Congress
bread.
protested against
There were
it.
people, there were
Yeah,
behemoths.
there were
Secretary
people.
said behemoths. There were Americans who said they did not want this
Yeah.
Obamacare.
Yeah, they want it now
They
because
don't
I got
want that. Now
I
that
got
they
the gout.
see how it's working,
Yeah,
they're in favor of it.
I got the gout, and I got to go in for my medication on Thursday.
Some of those
When I went
congressmen ain't even showing
down
up.
there by the clinic and I asked for my medication, they told me I ain't got that no more. I told them, what you mean?
And this is the one standard accent that you use when you're talking. This is like a
And these
southern-
people were from Arkansas. They're from Arkansas.
Okay.
These people who were talking, they were from Arkansas. I asked them, what they mean? What you mean? You got no medication.
Boy, I forget. It
Should I
was
come back here on Friday?
a man was on saying how Obamacare saved his family's life. You know, people now they see the benefit of it. You know, and
If it
they
weren't
won't let it go.
If it weren't for Obamacare, I'd be dead.
Oh, someone actually said that.
Yeah.
Yeah, someone actually said that.
I think they said
Someone
my daddy
actually
would be
said
dead too. The whole family would be dead.
Boy, it ain't easy being a
And I tell
congressman
you,
right
man,
now,
I don't like.
Senator.
I'm not gonna like pick on any kind of disease, but I know them brothers with the black lung in West Virginia. They need that.
The coal miners?
Obamacare.
I should have been recording you. You should see your face. Do it.
The Obamacare.
Is your face?
Hey,
Is your face what adds to it?
what's that? The
Your
Obamacare? See, you couldn't even
You didn't
understand
hear
anything, right?
anything. All you
Except for
heard
that.
was
Obamacare. Yeah, boy.
I swear the tears in
And
my
you know what?
eye.
Meanwhile, my man, right? He kiteboarding.
Excuse me.
Eh? He kiteboarding with Richard Branson.
Obama ain't on nobody
said
one right
nothing.
now. He's so happy to get that grill
Eh?
off his
no,
back.
but he's saying no. But see, let me tell you, genius. This is what I always say about why politicians don't get it. Do the right thing right away. Obama knew what he was doing. We dealing with this face here. By the time this kick in, by
That might be an
the
endorsement
time,
for NHI.
by the time I out of here, and these
gonna
people
love
hook
it.
on
They
their
get needed
little
so bad.
drugs or whatever they
Yep.
got,
They ain't going
you
to
ain't
get rid
taking
of
that bomb kill.
Yeah. So now it
I
ain't
like
about-
me that nigger.
Say what?
I like me that nigger.
Oh, Obama ain't got a care in the world.
So now he jet skiing. His hair even look like he going back block.
Well, he was sitting in somebody's chair getting that diet.
And you know he bop it. You know he bop it.
Yeah.
You know he
got
coming
that
in
bop.
now. You know,
Oh,
before
yeah.
He was just straight. Now he. Yeah. What's happening, Teddy?
Hey, the closer it got to his the end of his tenure,
He
you
do a
can see
little
the
bump.
blackness coming
Yeah,
up.
he doing a little bump. Yeah. What's
Yeah.
happening, Mama? So anyway, it's all good. But I'm happy to see that. But we knew this would happen. This is the genius of doing the right thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's always the right thing to do. And the reality is, without making a joke about it, there are tons of sick people with pre-existing conditions who couldn't have insurance before. They're now covered. 20 million people. And someone is going to decide to just yank that. And all of the people
Most of the people voted for
who are
it.
going to make that decision will have insurance.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I agree with you 100% there. Yeah, it's always the
Then
people
how come they don't see
at
it?
the bottom who suffer. Always the people who are in need are going to suffer.
Mean-spirited. That's all I can
you
say.
think, boy, not Obama. Trump is off to such a very, very rough start. I mean, he's not even doing well in the polls. I mean, like
He has
before,
87% though report for support of the Republicans.
Okay.
87, the highest ever.
they
But
don't
he
count
has
to me.
8 of Democrats.
Let me tell you something. You think he's even gonna make it through this term? Like I heard people saying this before. Like honest God, I was like, he's got an ego about him, so he'll probably try to fight through and then probably seek re-election after the 4 years. But I don't know if he's gonna make it, boy.
I think he's gonna have to think about
seeking
some re-election after 2 years.
Say what?
I think he's gonna have to think about seeking re-election after. Listen. You just don't know how these. I'm gonna compare it. I told you to what's happening now, even locally, right? People, and it kind of leads into the show. What we're gonna do. People are kind of so fed up with the same thing being repeated over and over and over again. There's a lot they're willing to forgive. Now, they're not going to forgive things that impact them.
Yeah.
Okay? Now, don't touch my Obamacare, don't touch my Medicaid. Mm-hmm. But things like the immigration, things like bringing jobs back to the country, they, and I think people, to be honest with you, are least partisan than actually the politicians. I think people have the capacity to say, I'm picking him because he's going to do these 3 or 4 things that I care about, and I will slap him on his wrist if he tries to do something that I do care about. And they don't get that riled up, as the politicians do.
Yeah.
So I think you have to give the people a lot more credit. And that's why, democracy makes sense, because there's enough people that will probably do the right thing if given a chance. Yeah. Unfortunately, despots and autocrats tend to believe they know more than the people, especially if it means maintaining the status quo. So anyway, that's where it is. Yeah. We got to get the news. We got 5 minutes. Okay.
No, but and then Trump obviously is making news again because he's revoked these Obama guidelines for the transgender use of the bathrooms. What were your thoughts about that? Even when do you think Obama overstepped his boundaries when he did that?
Well, so I watched this last night, and it's funny because again, this guy. See, first of all, I don't think he has the temperament, because I think he's insane to be the president, but he does things that kind of cause me to think about something. For instance, they asked him, what would you do if a transsexual or transgender person came into Trump Tower? Mm-hmm. He said they can use any bathroom they want. Mm-hmm. So his point was, that's up to each individual's to make that decision. So I don't think the federal government should be making that decision.
Totally agree with him on
each
that.
state should make it, and even in states, maybe each school makes a decision. Mm-hmm. So it's one of those things,
I never agreed with Obama with stripping funding for these schools, just, and basically forcing them to allow transgenders to use the bathroom that they identify with.
Well, he didn't force them to use it. He said he wanted them to have that option of whatever you identify with. You mean he forced the school to allow it?
Yeah. Well, so if you're taking their funding, that is forcing.
Well, here's the problem, and this is where the democracy gets a little messy, right? So I'm paying tax dollars, quote unquote, as the parent of this transgender child, and my transgender child wants to go to this bathroom because they believe that this is the bathroom they go to, and you're discriminating against me with my tax dollars.
And I'm paying tax as well, and my child doesn't feel comfortable with that person in the bathroom with her or with him.
Right.
So my opinion doesn't count either?
No, it does. But the thing is this is where I say it gets messy, because there will be something, for instance, that you want to protect. It's a messy game. It's a messy game. It's a whole new world, and it's a messy game. And I don't know. Soon, I guess what they'll do is have a whole separate bathroom.
Yeah, I don't even think
they'll probably have a female transgender bathroom and a male transgender bathroom, male bathroom and a female bathroom.
I thought about that, and that's going to be costly if they do proceed with something like that. It's costly for any business or that
probably
has
less
to
costly
do
than a
it.
lawsuit.
Yeah, but But for some reason, I don't think trans women are going to want to go into that bathroom. They want to go into the bathroom for women because that's what they identify as.
Trans women. So if a guy, women. You mean if a guy has now
turned into a woman?
If a guy is turned into a woman, will she want to go into a woman's bathroom? Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Well, I don't know. I've never had this experience. So I don't know. I don't know what they wish to do. but it should be whatever they wish to do. Obviously, it should be whatever they wish to do.
No, it shouldn't be. Anyway,
But
that's a discussion for another day.
Yeah,
but I don't.
yeah. So we'll be back to the world of like only transgenders can go to this school and only males can. Maybe that's what we need to go back to. Guys' schools, women's schools, transgender schools. And then everyone's happy.
Segregation.
But but the only thing is willing. It's voluntary. We'll be right back. Yeah, I got I got a trailer park in the bathroom. Trailer. Let me pull this.
Closer to you.
All right. So anyway, here we go. We got with my co-host Rogan Smith and Kendrick Williams, and our guests this afternoon, Dr. Nicolette Bethel and Dr. Ian Strachan, both from the University of the Bahamas, UOB. And UB. Oh, we don't go with the O?
No, we go with UOB.
I want to do UOB. I mean, I took a long time just to get used to COB. Trust me. Okay. They say COB, but anyway. So and of course, listen, we posted the topic on the internets, on the Facebooks, and it was a lot of reaction, to say the least. But listen, I heard this thing now. The campaign is about spoiling the ballot, and I think that this first came out 5-6 weeks ago.
No, just the beginning of February.
Okay, so that's 3 or 4 weeks ago, I guess, 3 weeks.
Feels like a year, but go
And
was this your idea or Alicia Wallace's idea? Whose idea was it initially to engage
I don't
in
know
this?
what you're asking about. Whose idea was it initially?
To spoil the ballots.
Probably mine,
Yeah,
because I'm
okay.
older than all of them, and I would have done it before they did.
Okay, you spoiled your ballot before?
Oh yeah.
Okay. Well, then now we know another thing. But spoiling the
Yes.
ballot. So the thing is this. I think let's use the word to the layman, to the average guy on the street, to not even the average guy, to anyone who is not as imbibed in the political foray as you folks are. What is the rationale? Because the average guy on the street is thinking this. There are a lot of people thinking, I don't even want to register.
Right.
Okay, because I don't want to participate for a whole number of reasons. And then you have a whole people saying, you got to register. Then you've got people who are registered and they don't know who to vote for. Okay, they go, who am I voting for? We've never voted for candidates, essentially. We've always voted for parties. And so they're picking not only a party, but essentially the leader, who's going to be the prime minister. That's what they're looking at. And then, of course, now we have this thing about the spoiled ballot. And the interesting thing to me is that, as a person who's been in the, the polls and getting training, one of the things they teach you is not to spoil your ballot.
Yep.
Because once it's spoiled, it's out.
Yep.
We have a thing called a protest ballot, which is where it's a different color ballot, where if you're not on the register properly or something like that, and I'm just trying to remember this, you vote on a separate card.
Yeah.
That they then
But
deal
that's-
with in the recount or something like that.
Right, but that's when the fault is on the side of the parliamentary registrar's office.
Right. For some reason,
Yeah.
you didn't,
Or they
whatever.
registered you in the wrong constituency or whatever.
Right. So now we talk about this thing about spoiling the ballot. So here's a simple question: what's the objective?
Well, the initial objective was to address exactly the first problem you came up with, the idea that a lot of people were not registering to vote. And of course, nobody knows why people were not registering to vote. There are numerous reasons, but we all felt that part of the reason was that people did not feel any real affiliation towards any particular political party or leader. And people also were tired of the old vote against kind of idea. And so we thought, well, there is another option. You can register, you can vote, and then you don't have to vote for anybody when you're in the ballot box. You can spoil your ballot.
Well, why not just not go to vote?
Because if you don't go to vote, now the question is, why not
even just don't register?
Okay, so let's take this. That's
Let's
two
go start
separate.
from there.
They're two separate questions. If you don't register, you're disenfranchising yourself.
Okay.
We have one direct means of participating in our democracy at this time. That's it. You and I have talked about all the different levels of government that there should be or could be, but we only vote once every 5 years. So if you don't register, you've given up that one chance that you have.
I mean,
all right?
there's already a bonus. You don't have to be on a jury. If you register and spoil the vote, you're still going to be on the jury.
Sure, that's a bonus, but I mean, we live in a democracy which theoretically is government of the people by the people, and you've just opted not to govern yourself.
But so the average guy on the street cannot understand that line. So here's where the parsing becomes. I cannot understand the line, the very thin, paper-thin line between disenfranchising by not registering or disenfranchising by spoiling your ballot.
Okay, so, Ian, you want to take that?
Yeah, I think people have to bear in mind that what we're trying to do is create a movement that's going to live beyond this election. And what we're trying to do is to really plant the seeds for folks who are dissatisfied with our electoral system generally, to become engaged, to not disengage and be resigned, but to believe and to see that there's a way that we as citizens can in fact enter the national discussion and begin to mobilize and organize ourselves, articulate the vision that we want to see for our elections in the future, and then begin to agitate for that. This election simply presents us with an opportunity, a staging ground, if you will, to begin that type of thing with a protest. And we are really addressing people who don't know, or not who don't know, people who have made up their mind, this isn't worth my while. Those are the people who are our primary target. And we're saying if you've come to that conclusion, and you've come to the conclusion that the outcome of this election is one that you don't see is going to make a difference to you. And so you must have done some assessing of the whole political system, etc. And we're saying to you, you could stay on the sidelines in the shadows and not voice any of that, or you could actually be a part of a movement that we're trying to start where you articulate the reasons why you refuse to participate in the conventional way, and you don't have faith in the system anymore, and we take it from there to looking at how we can create an electoral system and a more democratic system that you could actually believe in. So I say to people who don't want to vote and who won't register, well, that's your right. That's your right. I've done that before. I've not registered and not voted before. But this is clearly a more active way of registering or communicating my displeasure. And the proof of that is the reaction that we're getting from people.
But why not encourage people
Where are
to
you getting the reaction from? I don't think you're getting it from the people who you want to send the message to. I think the reaction is for the people who are like, let me use this word, appalled at the fact that you would waste your vote.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. There are two things. One, I mean, you say it's the thin line. There's a paper thin line between disenfranchisement by not registering and disenfranchisement by spoiling your ballot. Deliberately.
Disenfranchisement.
Yes. I need somebody to walk me through how that is disenfranchisement. Whenever you have a vote in some other place, in a union or whatever, you have a third option, the option of abstention, of not choosing one or the other. Somehow in our society, this myth has been created. And I remember this going all the way back to the 80s when I was first starting to vote, and I had these challenges because even then I lived in a constituency which was considered to be a safe seat for a particular party, and so the representative did nothing whatsoever because the representative had to do nothing because they were going to get elected anyway. And so we never ever got represented, and this is a representative government. And people always used to say, but you can't sit on the fence. Sitting on the fence is so terrible. And I just need somebody to explain to me how and why that is terrible. For me to go to make a non-choice, how is that not my right?
Because what
is
the intended outcome from it? Because at the end of the day, if you spoil your ballot or if you don't go out to the polls, the people, you don't count. You don't matter. So you've protested, yes. But you know who's going to matter? The people who vote for that candidate, and that candidate wins, and they're represented. Right. And you've disenfranchised yourself because now you have an individual who's in office that you probably didn't even want there, or you didn't care to have him there.
No.
There are a couple of assumptions there. But
yes, there are a couple of assumptions. So let me just respond to and then I'll turn it over to Ian. The first assumption is that I want anybody that is being offered. What if I don't want anybody that's being offered? Then it doesn't matter who I choose, because Nobody that I choose is. I'm already disenfranchised. We're always looking at it from the point of view of the voter. Why aren't we looking at it from the point of view of the representative? My problem is representatives, people who are sitting in parliament whose job it is technically not to represent their party and their leader, but to represent me, because this is a representative parliamentary democracy. I am the government. The people who are standing for election in my constituency are supposed to represent me. I have absolutely no say in who those people are. In order to have a say in who those people are, I have to make a partisan choice, which I may not wish to do. As a citizen, that seems to me already a level of disenfranchisement.
You get involved at the party level
Because
so that
I don't want to join a political party.
Why should
But,
she
but,
have
Why
but
should
that-
I
but
have
that's
to?
it. But you're talking about not having an option to make changes.
Yeah, but
That
look
is an
at-
option to make a
Yeah,
change.
It is
If
an
you-
option, but it's a false dilemma to
Yes,
assume those are the
yes.
only two
Exactly.
options. Those are not the only two options. This is a valid option, and the option that we're talking about is actually looking at trying to change this system. And I am convinced after 30 years of observing our politics that this country cannot change its political system in the ways that are important to me outside of civic pressure, outside of non-partisan or
Well, let me ask you this question.
non-partisan
Okay.
agitation for that to happen.
Okay, well, let me put this to you.
And that's what this is. This is the beginning.
Right.
This is not an end.
Yeah.
This is not going to. People are stuck on. But what about the outcome? What about the outcome?
Well,
You know,
outcomes
that's
matter.
gonna- yeah,
Outcomes
but
matter.
outcomes do matter, but the
Yes,
outcome
but
we
how
seek
can we
is
affect
not.
a good outcome?
Yeah, the outcome I seek is to change the system. The outcome I seek is not to change the party that rules.
No, but let me say this to you. Let me put this to you. I think that there's probably no other forum that you might come on that is more committed to changing the system
Than EFL.
than here.
Yep.
Okay, that's a fact. Okay, this is probably the one time I've made a statement of that sort.
Yeah.
Okay, and not that of changing the system, of bragging.
Yeah, that's what
that
he means.
about that.
Yeah.
Okay, that there is. I would.
You've advocated for that from the
Yeah,
jump.
I would knock you down if you question my commitment to changing the system. Okay. Now, having said that, right? That's kind of like real basic, passion. There are ways to, in my view, and see. First of all, I want to correct something that Nicolette said about your right. Yeah, you do have a right. Everyone has a right to do anything as long as it's not infringing upon the rights of others. So yeah, you have a complete right to do that. You even have a right to espouse it. Okay? But I think it's also kind of a benign scenario, because I think that there are actually other ways to change the system. Okay? But that's our right to feel that way. I think one of the problems is that we are not engaged. Okay, that essentially our inability to engage and not just for the sake of argument at the party level. That's what we got. That we have not engaged at the party level. We leave it to the leader to select our candidates, et cetera, et cetera. That we don't show up. Okay, that is, we don't show up at branch meetings. We don't show up at these things. We allow them to select our candidates for us. And so this, to me, is kind of a furtherance of not showing up.
Okay.
I want to problematize that a little bit. Let me use a big word. Let me poke a hole in that.
Okay.
I can poke it back.
That's cool.
But let me poke out
The
to
assumption that I can by attending a branch meeting and voicing my views influence, for instance, who's going to become leader of the PLP.
Not leader.
No,
I
but
just
that's
said
what.
I said the candidates.
Yeah, I hear you. No, but that's
we're talking about
he's a candidate.
representation.
No, he's a
Don't count,
candidate.
Ed. Let's be honest. Candidates don't count. We're not voting for the candidates. We're voting for the leaders.
The most important person to be elected is the person who's going to be the leader, and that's the system, though. Yeah. And the power that Perry Christie or Hubert Minnis is going to wield is so, as you know, so huge, so great. That is the only decision that actually matters, because that man who stands as leader chooses everybody else, and you say it's because I'm not in the branch. Okay, I go to the branch.
Go ahead. I'm ready for you.
But then you don't have a convention for 7 years, and then you name permanent voting members 48 hours a week before the convention.
Right.
And the people who are vying don't even know who
they are.
the delegates and stalwarts are.
Right. So
It's a
watch
secret.
This. So watch this.
So I think I hear you.
But we
I
know
think
this.
This is an active and healthy part of democracy.
Guys, I know where you are now mentally, right? And that is, you've been arguing this point so long, it's like, I gotta get everything out. But listen what I'm saying to you.
Yeah.
Okay? The reality is that the leader is allowed to do what he can do because the candidates answer to the leader. Okay? All right.
Yes.
All right. So we're in agreement. Okay.
Yes.
Now, the reality should be
Yeah,
that the candidates should be answerable to the constituents.
Exactly.
We agree on that. See, we moving ahead, man. We had
Progress.
B. All right. Now, the way to get the candidate, and then I'm going to lead you to how you don't have to worry about the monarchy. Okay, that we now have. Okay, the way to get the candidates to be responsive to the people is for more people to show up and say, Ian Strachan, out of all the people who presented themselves for Killarney, we decide that we're picking Ian Strachan. If you don't select Ian Strachan and Ian Strachan wants to run as independent, we picking him.
Exactly.
Because 1,000 of us have shown up.
Okay.
And 1,000 of us saying to you, Mr. Minnis, and to you, Mr. Christie, on either side, we want Ian Strachan on the PLP side, we want Nicolette Bethel on the F&M side. If you don't pick them, we can vote for them anyway.
Yeah.
Now, once those people now are answerable to the representative, they start putting in things, Nicolette, that stuff like local government, which now starts to dilute the power of this king.
Okay.
Okay?
Yes.
So there are other ways. There are the technical ways.
But we don't disagree on that, Ed. The real question there is, how do you break the culture that we all have? I mean, you and I can have this discussion because we've been on this page for a long time. But in most cases, a lot of people find what we're doing. I don't know. I still don't understand why what we're doing is so weird. But find what we're doing so offensive because it flies in the face of a fundamental cultural tenet that is that you're supposed to vote for one of the choices, not the party, one of the choices that is put before you. Most people mean the party, but some people mean the candidate. But we're not even at the point of questioning the validity of the choices that are put to us. And that is a failure of citizenship.
It is.
And what we're trying, for me, the spoiling of the ballot is the beginning of breaking that, of saying we don't have to go with the things they give us. That's the first step of moving to where you go. So I see it as a step in the direction of what you're talking about. But we're not even there yet.
Okay, so let me just put this to you.
The option you present to us is not available to us at this moment.
No.
Well, no, I would disagree.
No, I think it is.
Let me tell you why.
Let me finish. And
Okay.
I think that where we are.
You got a break?
Sorry.
Yeah, that's all right. We got the music
That's
in
cool.
there.
That's cool.
We'll be right back. Ed Fields here along with Rogan Smith, and our guests are Ian Strachan, Dr. Ian Strachan, Dr. Nicolette Bethel. I'll ask you this question. I think we are on the same page, and I think there are many people on the same page of realizing that our system that has been in place for 43 years, that we inherited or adopted or whatever the heck it is we did, is not working. It is dysfunctional. It is broken. It is not to the benefit of progress. We agree on that. The question then is, and just a very simple question, by this campaign, what, other than bringing attention to the fact that the system is broken, what does it do actively to then start to change the system?
Yeah. Well, the first thing is I don't want to underestimate the importance of actually forcing a conversation about the nature of our elections, which is a process of educating people who may not fully understand what's at stake or how it works. That is crucial. And I actually don't think that if we weren't creating this particular proposed protest, these kinds of conversations would be happening. We'd be having conversations about should we go PLP, F&M, DNA, UDP, whatever. So we're saying, shouldn't you know who's funding the PLP and the F&M and the DNA? Shouldn't you have actually had more than 0.4% of your population deciding who's leader of one of the two major parties? Shouldn't you actually have people who have to disclose? Shouldn't you actually have, laws that prevent foreigners from, and possibly criminals from donating to your political party and buying your election and controlling the direction of your country? And so we're saying, first and foremost, this is worth it for us because we want to talk about election reform and deeper democracy in our country, all of which is possible, none of which is radical, none of which is that revolutionary. And countries that govern themselves well are doing these things. That's number one. Secondly, we're saying the people who have tuned out, and we actually have a statistic, I think we were talking about it before the show, that basically only 67% of eligible voters actually register in the last election. So there is a lot of
in the 2012,
yes,
only 67?
eligible voters of our whole population.
Yeah. We have overall, there are studies that have been done from 1982 to 2007 that show that on average in the Bahamas, we have about 68% to 70% registration of eligible voters because we already have a system that does not help or initiate the registration process for its citizens. The citizen has to get up and initiate that process. This is not normal.
Well, no, but I don't want to get off.
Let me just since you use a statistic.
Yeah.
I think if you compare that to even developed countries, though, our numbers are not really that low. I'm just talking about. Yeah.
Our numbers of who turn out to vote are high once you register.
Right, but even the people of eligible voters to register is still
better
high.
in America, probably better in the United States.
But I need to say this: the difference between you, I don't think you can compare us with developed countries because developed countries have many tiers of involvement and citizenry that you can get involved in. People who don't vote, they're only comparing you at voting at the national level. People who don't vote at the national level may well be voting at their local councils or on their school boards or whatever. So you can't, that comparison
Which, by the way, in
is
many environments,
invalid.
those participants are even lower in many environments. But let's move on.
So my point.
But the point of comparing us to the developed nations,
it's problematic. So
it's problematic. But also, when you look at us in terms of the region, in terms of countries like us, we're one of the lowest with voter penetration.
So as I was saying, our wish is to engage people who have disengaged, and we believe we haven't done enough research yet. I've done some. I'm going to release some next week. But we believe that most of those people are disengaged because they just don't believe in the system. And they're skeptical about the political process, and they really see it as a kind of musical chairs on some level. Some people may really be trying to avoid jury duty, fine. But I'm prepared to be proven wrong when the statistics are actually done, that's why people aren't registering. And in this particular moment, in this particular election, we stand to have the lowest, we stand to actually have a registered voters list that shrinks rather than grows for the first time in our national history. That is significant. So we saw this moment. We could have just sat home and privately spoiled, privately not registered, because that's what we want to do. But we said this is a moment to start a conversation. We're 3 months from an election. We don't want people to misconstrue our demonstration as a part of some opposition party agenda. We're nonpartisan. We want to raise consciousness. When you want to start a movement based on civil disobedience and civic engagement, it's not going to happen overnight. Our people are not practiced in it. It takes time to sensitize them, to animate them, and that is why we're using this opportunity. And once this is done, our Future Democracy Conference, we plan to have that this summer, and we plan to engage and organize and go forward with direct pressure to try and change some of these things that need changing.
Elections don't always give great options. We saw that even in the United States last year, okay? Why not encourage folks to get to know the candidates better and make an informed decision rather than spoil the ballots? Because that is going to go a longer way for them in choosing somebody to represent their constituency.
Can I ask how you would suggest that people do that?
Reach out to the party, we had Denicio D'Aguilar on this show, and we had Jeffrey Lloyd, and they said, I asked them what they were doing to go around canvassing views from their constituents, their prospective constituents, and they said it's impossible for them to go to each house. It's just virtually impossible for them. So
we need to be a little bit more proactive as citizens and not just wait for them to come to us. If you have somebody who is offering themselves to run in your area, you know they can't reach everybody in the constituency. Why don't you reach out and find out what their plan is? We have some incredible people who are offering this time.
Absolutely.
Let's not sort of broad brush them and say these are worthless candidates.
Allow me to
You
answer
got
you.
great candidates
That's
out
a
there.
good
Get
point.
to find out who they are and then move forward.
So you know what your question is like saying to me, all right, Ian, you have a couple areas of damage to your house after this hurricane and mash up your house. Why you choose to work on patching the windows before you work on this wall or this what broke down? I want to work on the window. That's what I want to do. Others who might want to patch their wall first are free to go and patch their wall. I am not interested. Listen, others, there are media houses, there are other agencies, NGOs, unions, churches. There are all sorts of people who can, if they decide, create know your candidate spaces and fora. These parties are going to have millions.
you willing to admit to me?
Hold on, have millions of dollars to
got it.
spend to promote themselves. I am not interested
answer
in
Logan's
that.
question?
I am interested.
I
I am interested in making people aware of how their choices are rigged, how these parties are actually corrupt, and how they need to think about changing for a cleaner and fairer election.
So this is
There are
my
good
conclusion.
people.
Yeah.
There
So
are
this
good
is my
people.
conclusion. Then
I'm just not promoting
This
that.
is my conclusion, and we'll have more time to talk about it. And then, of course, Nicolette, I want you to.
Yeah.
So, well, go ahead. Go ahead.
Ian and
Yeah,
I are
go
not
ahead.
necessarily, we're not necessarily walking here in lockstep. Just because we're taking the same position doesn't mean we have the same views. You can work together and have different perspectives. So in my answer to you is there are a couple of things that I see as important. One is that there should be a dialogue between the person who is representing me. This is the thing we keep forgetting. We keep forgetting that the people who are setting themselves up to go to the House of Assembly are representing me. I am the government. They are my representative. We have a representative democracy. So what people keep the response we keep getting keeps reinforcing to me this kind of feudal idea that we are unconsciously living with, that the governors of the country, the people who sit in the House of Assembly, are somehow greater and better than us, and we must go to them to find out about them. Not one of them has come to us. There are no public debates. They refuse to debate. We have been trying in the University of the Bahamas, formerly the college, to get political debates since 2007.
There's a reluctance.
Reluctance
Big time.
is the wrong
It's
word. It
just
was an
an
outright refusal.
refusal, yeah.
And this is a desecration of the democratic process because you are not my lord.
Well,
you
we-
work
we-
for
we-
me.
but listen,
Sometimes
listen.
it's not. Hold on, let me say this though. But sometimes it's not the candidate. It's the leader who's
Quite-
telling the candidate
thank
you
you
cannot
Whatever it
go
is,
and
it's
do
a
this
system.
debate.
It's a system. Listen.
It is. I'm not going to say it just like that. It is the leader who's
Yes,
telling them not to go.
absolutely.
The system is the leader.
But Ed, if I could- what-
No. Let
okay,
me
go
get
ahead,
it. These statements that you make, we could be sitting here on any given day on this show, and I'm saying, and I'm just want, and this is what we say all the time. So this is not like a volcanic scenario, right? But here's the deal. What I've come to the conclusion of listening to you both, and I don't mean this in an uncomplimentary way, is that this is a ploy. Because if you're telling me that you're, and I don't mean that uncomplimentarily, you're saying that this is a ploy to get attention to preach the message. Fine. But the concern I have about the ploy, because there's lots of ploys you could do. You could sell Chico sticks. The point I'm making is, the concern I have is that the ploy, if you will, and maybe that's not a good word, but I'm going to use that for now.
Yeah, I don't like the word, but go
You don't
ahead.
like, but you know what I'm trying to say, right? Let's say vehicle.
Go on.
Let's say vehicle.
I have no problems with the word.
Deploy. You don't have no problems with
I have
the
no
word.
problems with the word.
And you know
That
what I
is in
mean by
part-
ploy, right?
That is in part what
Go on.
it is.
I understand.
But that the ploy could also be destructive, because the ploy in and of itself, what the ploy is asking you to do, is to disengage. Now, I know you're going to say, no, I'm asking you to register. And and in fact, you even say you're dealing with the people who are already disengaged anyway. So these people, it's kind of, The question is now, are you able to engage them to greater and other things, other than just copying out?
I think that.
And I'm not saying this is a cop out,
I
obviously.
think that you can, because here's the really interesting thing about the registration that's going on right now, and it's a departure from registrations from in the past, as far as I know. That the people who are registering the most, are the young people. It's the youth vote that is out there. For the first time since 2002, I've asked my classes, how many of you have registered? Are you registering? And so on. In my classes, I would say at least 50 to 75% of my students are registered or are intending to register, which is
And what was the case before?
30 to 40%.
Okay. You find that as well, Ian?
No, no, I'm not, but I'm working on them.
You may not be asking the question.
And it might, that's true. I mean, no, I have. I actually done a survey of 400 people, but I've asked my students, and in my observation, maybe 30% of them are registered.
Mm-hmm.
But you said 50% were going to register even if they weren't.
Yeah,
I guess
are going
50.
to.
Actually, yeah,
Yeah,
I'd say
are going
actually
to.
that's me too.
Yeah.
I think
They're not yet registered,
Yeah.
but they're going to.
Mm-hmm.
I think
And that's a big departure from the past. So I don't think that
Are they aware of the system?
Yes, they absolutely are.
Because I get the
people that
impression-
no. What I'm saying is, okay, when I say yes, they absolutely are. The people that are the most, and this is going to cause more people to withdraw their children from the University of the Bahamas because we're so leading people so much astray. But the people who are most responsive to what we're saying are these young people, because they and the people before them, the people who are turning 18 now and the people who are turning 18 in 2012, have already decided that there aren't any solutions to be found by changing the party in power. They've watched it happen.
Except, let me
They're a lot
ask you
less
one
afraid.
simple
They don't
thing,
have
and
mortgages.
this is what's interesting. You talk about engagement and moving the needle, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know what we're not doing? We're not asking the parties in power to change. We're not saying to the parties who could win, you want my vote? Because this is a potential here, right? There's okay. We're not asking the parties who want to
This tree
win.
you're barking up.
This is, huh?
I like this tree you're barking up.
Okay. We're not asking them to change the system. We're not saying, you want my vote? You create a system of primaries.
Mm-hmm.
You want my vote? You create local government. You want my vote? You change that delegate system in your party.
Okay, I like that. I like that a lot. And I was on another show and I said to someone, look, the wise thing for the Free National Movement or the DNA or any party to do in response to what Out the Box is doing is to actually engage us and ask us, well, what would it take for you to stop saying to people, don't spoil your ballot? Because that would be the intelligent thing to do. You're trying to win the government. You know that the people have a little confidence, that the esteem for politicians is low. How can you actually craft a message that will get people like us to say, you know what? This might be different. This might be new. These people might be. And I'm saying to you, okay, let's talk about that. Are you prepared to tell us who's funding your campaign?
Are you prepared to come and
Are you prepared to come and debate every one of your candidates?
Yeah. Send people to each constituency.
Start now. Don't wait till you become the
have
government.
public meetings.
Don't
Find out what
start
the
now.
people.
Don't
You
wait
are
till
the
you become the government.
representative. Find out what the people need.
Are you prepared? Yeah.
Don't be representing your party. That's not what you're elected to do.
Show us that you are committed to democracy, to deeper participation, to openness and transparency, and to fairness. Show us that you're capable of that now. And the thing about it is, if they had the sense, think about it. Once you do that, you put pressure on.
Well, this is
on
what we
the
talk
other
about
people.
all the time. We
You put
talk
pressure
about
on the
once
other
you,
people.
for instance, I said this
Dwayne
off the air.
Sells lost Elizabeth because he didn't debate.
Right.
He would have torn him apart.
I said this on the air many times. I'll say it again. One of the reasons why I was thinking of running, and I said it to you just now, of running, was so that if you won, you could change something unilaterally that others would be forced to follow. Okay?
I hear you.
Okay? Now,
I see. Yeah. So that's the same logic. Yeah,
right.
I
It's
hear
the same
you. I hear
logic,
you.
right? Because if you then said, as a representative, I'm going to give all of my funding for the constituency to the power of the constituency council to do. Well, the other constituencies are going to clamor for that.
But there's a big F there. Big if, not F.
Yeah, well, it could
the
be
big
an F
if
there.
is. The big if is.
Yeah.
The big if is. Are the people ready?
But I'm not sure.
The Long Islanders were ready.
Yeah,
Long
but you know
Islanders
what?
were
You
ready
know
to
what?
say, we
They
don't
can
want
never
that
be ready
candidate.
till
We
they're
don't
ready.
vote these people.
Yeah,
but Nasuvians ready to say we want this person. And I've seen some pretty decent independents who are in these communities.
No, I'm not even talking about independence.
rejected.
I was prepared to run for a party.
Oh, you were prepared to run for a party.
I was
independent.
I was prepared to run for a party.
Oh,
and if I won,
Okay.
my deal would be, because I don't care about being in the House of Assembly, my concern is the changing the system. And so if I'm concerned about that, and that's my only concern,
you'd have been the rebel
okay?
one instead of
But
the
then,
rebel
but here's the problem. No, well, maybe so. But here's the beauty of it. You just said it. You just espoused it. Once people see something, it's like, I always tease, in this town, right? If someone open up a stocking shop, sell stockings, and they see people making money from it, everyone open up a stocking shop. Okay? If people saw where a constituency was managing itself, the other constituencies would clamor for that. Those representatives would have no choice but to hand that power to the people.
I hear you, and I know that there are a plethora of strategies that we can use to try and challenge the system. And I don't rule out independence or even infiltrating political parties and trying new approaches. I'm just saying that in this particular moment, with 3 months, 4 months out, we've been doing this for 2 weeks, that this isn't the time for us, in our opinion. However, the next election and the next year and the next 6 months, the next 3 months, I think we as citizens really have to we have to grow, and that's the other thing. I resist the description of what we're doing as a ploy simply because I believe that as a country, our citizens need to build their capacity for activism and to believe in protest. And I think
Ian, my good friend, let me tell you something. In life, you must have all.
I can sit home. I can sit home.
I don't want you to sit home.
I
But in life,
to get on that stupid line. And get the income and still spoil the ballot. That's a sacrifice.
But in life,
and I believe that that's a good
in life, no matter what you do, whether it's in business, whether it's submitting a thesis to get a grant, there's got to be a gimmick. There's got to be a catch. You could call it ploy, you could call it gimmick, you could call it catch, you could call it strategy, whatever you want. Okay?
I don't have a problem with it.
Okay.
And I just want to also say that it's also about building community and empowering people to not think I got nothing but to sit home and there's nothing I could do.
I want to say, okay, so I don't have any problems with the idea of the ploy, although I understand. No, I understand. I understand Ian's. Yeah, I understand Ian's reservation, but it's not merely a ploy. I have a very different perspective, and one of the really interesting things that has come up out of this. Okay, my partners, Alicia and Ian, had some idea what kind of furor this was going to cause. I don't see why it is so. I still need somebody to explain to me why it is so such an offense to the system of the individual, of the Bahamian participant in the democracy. What is an offense to me, and this is why everybody gives me the same response, but it's offensive to me to think that I cannot be a citizen in my own country and not have a partisan affiliation.
Nicolette, but let me tell you what the offense is. And it's not an offense, but I'm telling you what the people would do. If you look at all the people who are most passionately feeling opposed to this, the real passionate ones, those people, without doubt and without exception, except for some real purists, are people who are partisans who feel it will impact them. Yes. That's the bottom line.
No,
you're offensive to them because you might cause them to lose.
Okay,
that's it.
But here's my issue. My issue is I don't see why, or where is the room in a democracy for a citizen who is simply a patriot, a citizen who simply cares about the country.
But those people feel that way. Those people feel that way. You don't what I'm saying.
No. I'm not.
Okay.
I'm not disparaging people who have a partisan affiliation. Not at all.
And many of them have it because they believe they're patriots.
No, I'm sure they are. But what I'm saying is, where is the room for people who do? Why do you have to be partisan to be a patriot? Why can't you be a patriot without? Why isn't the country first?
I got the music in my ear, and we'll come back, and we'll be right back.
That'll be a good question.
Because there's some questions that you want to ask, but I want to say this because there was a lot of heated reaction to this, and people ask why. Let me put it this way. The fact that people would ask, especially of me, why would you have anyone on is absurd. So I don't even want, we have, that's just what we do. We have people on. But the thing I want to say is this. The reason why we have... What's that? No, yeah. But the thing is... I mean, when I use that illusion, it was to just general thing. But no, it was not intentional at all. It actually wasn't even in my mind. I could have said in their business, office or whatever. The thing is this. You do it because you learned something that you didn't know before, okay? And you would at least hope, because this is what I've concluded out of this, and then I'm going to pass it on to Rogan, that at the very minimum, if there's one thing that you have to hear, and that is, folks, that whatever this is, however they want to term it, ploy, gimmick, strategy, whatever you want to term it, is that the objective was to engage in a conversation about the system. Yeah. That's my take point from this at this point.
And to get people to register to vote.
Well, yeah. No, that's where we have a little... That's kind of weird now. We're doing on the borderline weird now. But anyway...
I didn't see your Facebook posts, but about 7... I told Ed before we got started, I said about 7 or 8 people came up to me today. They were talking about this whole Spoil the Ballot campaign. And the greatest concern was the fact that we had 2 brilliant lecturers from the University of Bahamas advancing this campaign. I don't know if you had an opportunity to see Phil Galanis' column. I just want to read something to you, and I just get your reaction afterwards. This was Monday's column. He said, "If you spoil your ballot, you have no voice. It is therefore intellectually dishonest and inherently disingenuous to suggest that your voice will be heard by spoiling your ballot. The most disappointing thing about the proponents of the Spoil Your Ballot campaign is that they are the teachers of young, impressionable, fertile, inquiring minds of students at the University of the Bahamas.
You're the enemy.
Equally disappointing is that one of the proponents is a female activist who should be encouraging as many persons as possible to not only register to vote, but to vote for the candidate who seems most informed and best poised to move the country forward without reference to one political party or another." And it's a sentiment we keep hearing over and over, and I think people take great offense to the fact that you all are informed lecturers at UB. And I don't know what they expect. You certainly are entitled to your own opinion, but, what do you say to that?
I think that the assumption that underlies it, I disagree fundamentally with the assumption that is being advanced by that, and that is that anything we do is going to make any difference whatsoever. And the idea that if you vote for a candidate who you had no hand in choosing, who you had no way of vetting, who you have no way of really engaging with unless you go out and find the candidate, that is a fair, democratic option. I don't see it as such. This is where my fundamental disagreement is from all these other people. The assumption is that we are queering something that is working well or that has some kind of value. The value, to me, has to be two-sided. And the people who are in the business of contesting elections, because they have not really engaged as well as I have wished in the process of governing. I find that we spend much too much time on the competition. I see what we see. I see our elections. As I said, it's like football. Okay, you have your teams. You buy your paraphernalia, you support your teams, you go out, and if there's somebody who doesn't support the team, oh my God, what's wrong? But the fact that I can go in, I still maintain that I have the right as a citizen and somebody who cares about the future of the Bahamas to go into the ballot box and say, I don't want any of these people for whatever reason. Yeah. Now, what I think people are also reacting to is the fact that after we launched this, there was a lot of conversation and misinformed conversation about what we were trying to do. And one of the things is that people seem to believe that we are trying to get people get everybody to spoil their ballots. That is not what we're doing. We're saying that we believe in a democratic system that choosing none of the above is a valid option. And that's it. We are saying that we are taking that option. We are not saying that you must take it or you must take it or anybody else must take it. But we do believe that you must be involved in the process. And that requires you to register, get your name on the voters list, because that is your responsibility as a citizen. The country is not just here to give you stuff. You're supposed to give stuff back to your country. And one of those things is service on a jury. And one of those things is vote. Now, I see it as a bargain. The people who are standing for election, they have a responsibility to me. As the citizen, not as the member of a party, not as the supporter of the party. As a citizen of this country, you have the responsibility to represent me. And I do not see that responsibility being taken up in any serious way. The responsibility is to the party. There are many good candidates out there. And I don't expect everybody to have the same vehemence that I have in this particular thing. My thing is against the system. There are many good candidates. And if you feel that there is a candidate worthy of your vote, by all means, vote for them and vote passionately for them.
Can I just add some things? In response to, I haven't read the article yet. I forgot to check it out. But first of all, we have academic freedom as academics and professors, and I think we respect our students as young adults who we're trying to train to be independent thinkers. And I know I have no intention of trying to coerce anybody to use my position, to coerce anybody to follow any path that I choose. I want to arm them to make decisions on their own. And that's always been my position. I was a COBUS president. I was a young student, and I didn't like people trying to tell me what to do when I was COBUS president. So I'm not trying to tell them what to do. My interest is getting them to giving them the tools to make decisions for themselves. And I agree with what Nicolette said. We are not trying to say that if you feel strongly you have to vote FNM, DNA, independent, PLP, do that. Do that. We're trying to speak to people who are just opting out altogether from this process because we believe they just don't see it as being worth their while. And I just add this. The notion, I hear it over and over and over and over and over and over again, and I'm trying to be patient. This notion that casting your ballot is your only chance to have a voice. Evidence doesn't actually support that. This very week, a spy bill was stopped in its tracks because someone used their voice. People open their mouth and say, wait a minute, let's look at this. This could be bad. That person did not vote in an election. They wrote a press release. They got on Facebook. The Marital Rape Act didn't happen. Why? Was that a vote of the Bahamian people? That was voices. LNG didn't happen. CSME didn't happen. I could give you a list of 20 things. That didn't happen because the people, maybe a few, maybe a lot, said, we don't want this. This is bad. This is horrible. Don't do this. People have to stop getting, this notion that I only have one shot to change the direction of my country. No, every day you have the capacity to change the direction of your country.
Well, this is the point. Point again, not only is that point taken, it is not far off from what we've been saying. I was involved in a group. We said that basically the problem is that we made a decision. We as a people have made a decision, almost conscious. I would like to think it was unconscious, but almost conscious, to cede off the responsibility of managing this country to a small group of people.
Exactly.
The reality is, that's why I go back to this thing about other strategies, because it's only a decision that you have to make, and the decision is to show up. But obviously, showing up alone doesn't help. But the reality is we need to start using, and I use the word, I'll use the word as it applies to me, is to use ploys or gimmicks or strategies or whatever. We happen to have the airwaves to get people to understand the system. We had a scenario this year because of the turmoil of the FNM, where I actually believe, although unintended, people began to understand the system. Because they realized that no matter how popular Miss Turner might have been, it didn't matter.
Right.
Because only these 15 people mattered, okay? Right. So I think people are beginning to understand the system.
And listen, Ed, I agree with you. I am open to every possible strategy to change this political system in my lifetime, man. This is what we're doing now. And after May, the fight goes on.
And what I like, this can sound really weird, but I relish the arrows, because what we are doing, in my mind, is an act of civil disobedience. If this is what people believe, that you must go in and vote for somebody, I refuse. I refuse because the system is anti-democratic as it stands. And my refusal to participate in the system is in no way a repudiation or a criticism of those many good candidates standing there. That's not what my...
We do not have... Listen, you getting real flowery about it. I've said it very clearly, very straight, and we have to go. We'll end on this. We don't have a democracy.
Right, we don't.
It's as simple as that. Anyone who believes that it's ludicrous. You can't have a democracy where a total of 2,000 people split between two parties choose the leader.
Exactly.
0.4%.
Exactly.
That's as simple as that. You just move on. We don't even need to explain that any further than that.
So this is an act of civil disobedience in protest of that.
Okay.
And we're starting a conversation of how we go forward.
Well, Rogan, you want to just close it out?
No, I mean, I was going to say I love the fact that we did invite them on the show because I think it enlightened a lot of folks as to what they were doing.
Yeah.
A lot of misperceptions were cleared up today.
Yeah.
As far as they're concerned, I'm happy you came on and.
See, I think that's what happens
back.
when you go on shows or you go in environments where it's about who you're causing to lose and who you're causing to win. I'm echoing Pat Bramming, who said all we care about in the last several election cycles is who wins the election. That's what we've been doing, trying to win elections, not trying to build the country.
Yeah.
Who wins John Canoe? Not
Yeah.
enjoy John Canoe.
Yeah. All right. And by the way, it's Roots. Anyway, so listen, Rogan, thank you very much. Kendrick, thank you very much. And to our guests, Nicolette, Bethel, and Strachan, thank you very much.
Thank you for having us.